Good morning, and welcome to Hump Day.
Welcome to Hump Day and another Nudelberg Daily Huddle, where we are surrounded by Nudelberg right now. We've got the youngest one in here as we wait for Gabby to come get him. But happy Wednesday, guys. Great day yesterday.
Before we get going, I meant to show this yesterday, but it's kind of neat. The FAU basketball.
Do you want to let people come in first so they can see it?
That's a good point. Yeah,
let's let the crowd. Sorry, not to come on here a lot, but like you play something in the first minute, you got to let the audience roll in. Let's wake up and then let's get into the content. Is normally how we do the show, not to hijack it.
Give everybody a couple minutes. Good morning, Michael Ficara. Good morning, Jonathan Aarons. Thank you, Michael, because the cigar gift that you got us was absolutely gorgeous. Great cigar carrier, box, cutter, lighter, the whole thing. Super awesome. Good morning, Michelle. Looking forward to being with the Sistel crew this morning for our leadership training. Going to be a fantastic day.
Good morning, Mr. DiGregorio. Thank you. What an excellent event last night. Who knew that I could have a good time hanging out in a room full of CFOs?
Oh, how about that?
Show me the last night. There's Mr. DiGregorio up at the top with Richard, who I had lunch with, and then Sherry Cedar, of course. The Cedars were there, and they were a great addition. Lots of lively conversation about private equity, about things moving forward.
A shameless plug from me, but you look great. Your shirt's fit.
The get jaked is working.
I mean, listen, all of last year, I thought I looked good, and I just did not. Let's just call it that.
Speaking of shameless plug, though, let me tell you a story about what happened at F45 this morning. Okay. So I guess F45 is doing – they have some kind of partnership with this new show on Netflix called Wellness. They hijacked the entire, excuse my language, fucking workout to plug this show. They had the main character of the show like spoofing all of the exercises. They had her lead the warm-up and hijack the warm-up, which was awful. And then at the end, they had her lead like a mindful meditation that she spoofed. It turned me so far off.
Yeah, I would never go back.
Execution. I'm not going to never go back because, I got to have the workout and I'm just kind of stuck. But I would say I'm not going to watch a show. And it hurt F45's brand for me because we take working out seriously. This is my time to get in there and get after it. And you took it upon yourself to decide that you were going to hijack my time. I did not like that.
Listen, I can tell you if you want, I know a great trainer who has a great gym. It's right nearby you. And I know the cost is great.
I'm not accepting him as a client. I would not.
So
I would end up paying him somehow.
I mentioned.
How about no?
It's great. Shay driving the panel. I mentioned Sherry Cedar, but I did not really shout her out and thank her because she got to the room. I introduced her to a couple of people, and she went into full-on Huddle prop. Boom, boom.
I love it.
You got to join the Huddle. You got to join the Huddle. You got to join the Huddle. She was like,
well done.
Like, what do you mean?
Paying the fee.
She must have been in debt from the past couple weeks.
Right, it was awesome, man. It was so great. I mean, literally, she like teed me up. I think I may take her on the road with me and just put her out there. But really great night. And another shout out to Matt, because he really did put a great room of people together. We got a great show today. We got a lot of fun stuff. Yes, sir.
You going to talk about your FAU thing? Let's do it. Everybody's here.
Now
you get your FAU time.
Let's do that after we
wake up. Our first show together.
I love it.
So stay with us.
Did you guys just get here? What the All right. So it's a fun time if you're a basketball fan, there's lots of good basketball talk. FAU left this morning for Houston, that a big send off, but they put together what I think is the best hype video I've ever seen. Shay, show me FAU's hype video.
Hello?
This is Frank Costanza.
What do you want?
You think you can keep us out of Florida? We're moving in lock, stock, and barrel. We're going to be in the pool. We're going to be in the clubhouse. You're all over that shuffleboard court. And I dare you to keep me out.
Nothing for you. Ah, that's shit.
Davis trying to take the belt. He scored it for a slammer right hand tomahawk.
Who's saying that you want a piece of me?
You got it!
I study his every move. He dunks.
What's going on in there? Oh, really?
I don't know who's creating their content, but they need a raise. They need to be paid more money.
Am I right? That is first class. I showed it to Jake, and he fell down, man. He was
that's phenomenal. Why
you guys know?
Seinfeld, I have no idea, but unbelievable execution.
Do you guys know the story of the coach, of him getting to FAU? No. I just read this article. So Dusty May, who was an assistant, and I think he last was at Florida, but there might have been a stop in between. He takes the FAU job without ever seeing the facilities. He doesn't ever see it, and he shows up, and it's like really bad. And he starts crying, and he goes to his wife, and he's like, "I made a real mistake here. Like, I probably torched my entire career."
Right.
And then now is in the Final Four, and just an amazing story of the amount of things that are coming out from FAU. I agree with you, Coach. Them or UConn.
Time for RJ Martino to be involved.
Coach Mike, what a story would it be that they win it all?
They would win a title. Hopefully that would create a massive influx of dollars for that basketball program, so that they can get on par with some of the facilities. The football facility is nice. The stadium is nice and all that. But yeah, I can't imagine.
It's cool to see their rise, though, from hiring Lane, which was probably their first,
that was the big splash.
Right, the big splash to put him on the map. And now Tom Herman is there, which Tom Herman is a giant name, the basketball team. So it's super cool to see the local school, or what we consider local, starting to go national, have a real impact. Obviously, Ken LaVicka is now a viral sensation because of his call. So it's just
call at the end of the game, which if you don't know Ken LaVicka, everybody should reach out. I'm
sitting at the bar Sunday night, coming back, and I don't even notice that the lady next to me is wearing an FAU hat. Strike up a conversation. I'm like, "Oh, what do you do?" She's like, "Oh, I'm the director of communications for one of the colleges." We start getting in this conversation. I tell her a little about us, and she goes, "Do you guys know Ken LaVicka?" And I was like, "Yes, we know Ken LaVicka, the nicest guy ever." And so it was just hilarious.
We know Ken LaVicka when he was 100 pounds heavier.
Yeah, right. I actually did say that. I was like, I knew Ken before he started running, 1,000 miles.
Coming into the office all sweaty.
So I gotta tell you, man, it is so true, man. RJ takes the job. It's like he might have moved to the FAU. And now they're in the national championship game. I was like, if luck don't follow that dude, man.
Yeah, that's awesome.
It's a really great stuff. So it's Jake's day, and it just so happens we can focus on Jake. Jake made a business decision yesterday, and we are all partners. He chose to balance work and play. And so we'll get into it, what he did, how he did it, how he managed it. But I thought this for motivational music was super appropriate.
For you. It's one of my personal favorites. And I'd like to dedicate it to a young man who doesn't think he's seen anything good today. Cameron Fry, this one's for you.
Hey! Get off of the floor! What are you doing?
Thank you for all the joy and
You're on your mind!
picture show. Second balcony was the place we'd meet. Second seat, go Dutch treat. You were sweet, Dr. Shane, darling, Dr. Shane. Save those lies, darling, don't explain. I recall Central Park and
So, Matt, you're right. It is just a phenomenal movie. It has so much representation. Jake, tell us about your day yesterday.
I guess we have to back it up to COVID, which there are two things that came out of COVID. Was the one that I wanted to come home and On the Ball was born, and the amazing things that have come from that. But I fell in love with tennis. I think we all found something new during that time where we new passions, new things. And I think it's important for us to explore different things, try different things. I think a lot of the stuff we've been pushed into was from either friends or from family members. And so trying to go out and finding the things that really just fulfill you. And one of those things is tennis. I love watching it. I love playing it. I know the players. I know more about the players than I should know about anything probably. And so I didn't have a plan of going to the Miami Open. I've been traveling the last few years during the Miami Open, and so happened yesterday was an absolute bomb of a day. The number one player in the world, my favorite player in the world, 5 total men matches, all in the top 25 players. And I come from, or my history comes from being around football. And in football, there is no missing. There is never a missing day. Most of the days are accounted for, other than maybe 3 weeks around the year. And so I had serious anxiety even thinking about missing. The thought of not being in the saddle per se creates a lot of anxiety for me. And I didn't talk to Mark, and I kind of floated it to Dad, and Dad's like, "What are you out of your fucking mind?" Like, excuse my French, but he's like, "You got to go." Right. He's like, "Dude, like, when else are you going to see these guys?" And I'm like, "Yeah, well," and then so to make myself feel better, it wasn't an or. Dad's like, "Take the day off and go." And I was like, that's so against what I am as a human being. That's not how I like to operate. And so sure enough, I put together my schedule. I woke up an hour earlier. I did my LinkedIn time before. I set the virtual coffees. Mark, when he finally found out that I was going, goes, "So what's your schedule?" Bang, hit him with
I was so pissed. I can't even begin to tell you that, like, you announced it, like, on the huddle. And I was like, he didn't even talk to me about it? Like, we got 3 coaching calls today. I got sales calls, and I was like,
to be fair, the tickets weren't even bought yet. So, like, it hadn't even happened. And he just announced it. And I'm, like, sitting there going, oh, man, that's going to backfire, right? And Mark texts me, "So what's your schedule?" And sure enough, I didn't miss a call. I was on our calls. I prepared for it. So, Mark, yeah, talk to it.
So I want to talk about the work from anywhere capabilities now, right? Like, obviously, there are times that you have to be in the office, or you have to be with the teams, or things that you can't miss, things that you can't do. But when something like that pops in and you go, I don't really want to lose momentum, or I don't really want to set the team back, but is it possible for me to execute regardless of where I am? And you had that capability in that day to be able to do that. And I think that that is the future. That is how you build unbelievable loyalty and buy-in with your teams. It's a conversation about, well, are you planning on taking the whole day off to go to this tennis match? Or, oh, you're telling me that you're going to be able to execute and do what you need to do and go? Interesting. How do you plan on doing that? And then you did it and executed it on it, which I think that is worth sharing and worth talking about, because that's what everybody should be doing. You shouldn't have to be an entrepreneur to be able to make a decision about how you need to execute your work and also feed your passions and the things you want to do.
So I'll play old man, if you will.
Sure.
I'll play the old guy in the room. Like, to me, it was an either or. You go, you enjoy it, but to try and do what I do in that setting doesn't work for me. Like,
sure.
I'm already there. I'm in the sun. I want to have a beer. It's a distraction to do both. I thought it was incredible discipline on your part. I will tell you, Jake, I'm super impressed by it, and I'm glad that we're talking about it, because the new way to do business, like, you were accountable for the results.
Right.
Back in the day, if I knew you were at a tennis tournament, right, I would obliterate you.
Obliterate my knees.
Obliterate. Right. I mean, you can talk to anybody that worked for me. It was like, yeah, you can do whatever you want as long as you do the numbers. But if you weren't working, I would kill you, you know? So I think it's just a mindset shift that is so hard for people, because I couldn't balance the two mindsets.
Well, it's what's the level of work? I would never go to the Miami Open and take coaching calls from the Miami Open. That you can't do that. There's too much distraction.
Right.
But his responsibility is to execute the follow-up, to take the notes, ensure that the important points are documented, and ensure that that ends up with the client or the coaching client at the end of that call. You could do that from anywhere. And so, like Jonathan Aarons talks about, like, everybody has administrative, duties in their job. Everybody has, the high focused hard work, and everybody has more of the managerial things that just need to get executed. You could choose to do those from anywhere. So on a day where you have friends going out on a boat and you're like, yeah, I'm not going to go take new client calls there. I'm not going to go take team meetings there, but I'm able to execute all of the follow-up and all of the managerial stuff. While I do that, I'm going to move my schedule. I'm going to shift things around to ensure that, because what matters? The result is what matters. Nobody cares about how you got there.
What's more detrimental for the leader relationship with the person, with the leader saying, no, don't go, not trying to understand what the event is, why it's important? Like, think about what would be more detrimental to the business if the leader says, no, I have to stay, and then I hate the leader now and I no longer want to work there, right? Which isn't always the case and is the reality, of course, but it's kind of balancing the two, in my opinion.
So, Jake, late in the day, you texted me and said, this might be one of the best days.
It was. I'm more fulfilled in a sporting sense than I've ever been.
There is nothing, like, life is meant to be lived, not to work. Work is a part of what you do. Chris Pollock said, it's right. It's flexibility. You have a responsibility. You can't do that all the time, but that was a unique situation. Mark, you have a situation. Your son has pink eye.
Pink eye.
You said, I'm calling an audible today. I'm moving things around. So it is flexibility. Chris, you're 110% correct. It is flexibility, because at no time did any of us take our eye off the ball.
Right.
Oh, we were always and will always be focused on where we need to get to. How you get there is going to change, man.
Right. Amen to that. And so, like Lori says, there's a lot more to this. Sure, there's tons of things we can talk about in this, but as a leader and making the decision with your people, there's a difference between being hard and being tough. Hard leaders are not flexible. Hard leaders are stiff and rigid and do not move. And that creates a lot of friction within an organization and within a team. Tough leaders are, yes, they have expectations and they have standards, but they're flexible. They move. Think about the materials. Think about the difference between a hard material and a tough material. Hard material is plastic. Tough material is rubber. Both of them are hard to break. Both of them have consistencies that you want, but ultimately rubber is better because it's more flexible, it's more durable.
So I think, it's interesting, and this is a paradigm shift that happened because of the pandemic. Sales leaders and regular leaders, there was really no trust. I need to see you in front of me doing your work, which is ridiculous. In sales, it's the most ridiculous thing ever. What's the matter? What's the difference where I do it? I just need to do it. And if I do it, we should be good. That wasn't good enough for sales leaders. Why? Well, there's always the yin and the yang. Friday afternoon, I would see some of my guys make the same appointment at 3:30, like near their house. I was like, dude, what do you think? I fell off a truck, man? I see what you're doing. Tell me what's going on.
I'd like to address Lori. I switched my schedule to do my business development time in the morning. I did it at 6 a.m. I'll show you. That was the point, was I decided to work at other hours of the day. So granted, and I'm on my phone. Like LinkedIn exists on my phone. My prospecting is on my phone. I was on my DMs all day at the open.
Now here's the challenge. But here's the challenge.
Totally calls, of course.
Lori has a lot of people, so you set precedents. We're a small group, right? We can do that with each other and hold each other accountable. And, you start doing that down line when there's different layers of management, it becomes a hell of a lot more difficult. I agree the flexibility is something, but you see people take advantage of that.
Well, so this is what I work with teams that are dispersed on, right? Is how do I create the visibility into the daily activity so that it's not micromanagement, but we all feel good that it's getting done, right? You feel good because somebody's in the office. You don't know what they're doing on their computer. You don't know what they're doing on their phone. You don't know that they're actually putting in the work. So how do we create the visibility into the actual metrics that matter, which to me, I'm not talking about CRMs and I'm not talking about logging every call, but if you work with dispersed teams and you make people responsible for creating the visibility for the leader to know that there's accountability there, look, I'll give you all the freedom you want. I'll give you all the time you want. I'll give you anywhere you want. But what I need is the accountability at the end of the day to know priorities, to know problems, and to know solutions. Give me those three things. Give me what you worked on. Give me the problems you ran into. Give me how you propose to solve them. I feel pretty good about my people, regardless of where they are or what they're doing.
So, I align it to a player watching film on his own. Right. I'm going to know if a player is not watching film on his own when he comes to my meeting. I know immediately. Oh, you don't have an answer already for why you did this, and you're not doing your job, and now I have to step in. Shay. There are signs.
Sorry.
I love it. No, Shay, overtime. Shay's asleep.
Shay, hello.
And we'll go to overtime.
Apropos. Keep going. Sorry to interrupt.
No, I just don't think it's we live in, certainties always. And it's just a philosophy is what we're talking about. Yes, when you talk about individual teams and individual examples, yes, you can't let everybody just take the day off when they want to. That's not a reality. And that's not really what we're talking about. It's talking about understanding the person and understanding the reasons and having a two-way dialogue that people feel free when something comes up for them to come to the boss and be like, hey, look, man, I'm a die-hard Carlos Alcaraz
this is a true
fan.
Story. I will not mention names, but it's somebody that I counseled, and they came to me and they wanted to go with their wife for the wife's sonogram. And the boss said, you can't go. We have things that are more important. Can you imagine somebody actually saying that? So there are extremes on either side of this. I mean, that's a barbaric way to operate, and that company has experienced tremendous turnover. Why? Because
football.
You got to take care of the people. Now, here's the thing. You were always, like recently, very into tennis. It wasn't like you said, oh, the tennis tournament is here and I just want to go to the tennis tournament. Sure. This is the day of tennis. This is the opportunity to see guys that won't be back for another year. So the urgency of the event matched with your passion, and your ability to say, I won't miss a tick. is I think that's the accountability piece, is you took responsibility for what you needed to get done, right? You went and had the best day of your life. Now, assuming you were working for people that weren't family, you would go, I love working here.
Right. Oh,
right.
My God. Loyalty. You're
which first of all, I did text you guys that. Like, I was like, dude, seriously, guys, like what this means to me makes me feel closer to the company. It did. Like, that I was able to do that. And it was one of the things that I hated about football. It was one of the things I hated about that culture was there was nothing that mattered outside of that game. And even at times when the game didn't even matter, it still mattered. And that was too much for me.
To me, is the biggest crock of shit for every organization that preaches family values and family environment. Oh, really? Because if it's truly family, then you put your people above everything else. And your people are more than the business. So therefore, it always has to be a conversation. Doesn't mean it's always going to be a yes. Like, had we had the GOTB call today, had we had all of these other, it would have been a no. Like, dude, we can't do that. The priorities are different. Everything has a different.
Well, you said this morning, you identified the things you have to do today that are not
non-negotiable.
Non-negotiable. So here's the thing. Lori Kuznicki throws a bone in everything. Right now.
She asked if she could be Shiv. She can 100% be Shiv. I mean, she's welcomed in the family.
Great overtime. I would also say this, that if you missed one day of prospecting and calls and that crushed your pipeline, what are you doing every other day? Right? Like, it's the same thing with your diet and your fitness. Missing the gym one day should not derail your entire fitness. Getting off your diet plan one day should not derail your entire fitness. But, so,
and I spoke specifically to Matt about this, and I hope he's still listening. I chose, because after 8 o'clock, the world starts getting crazy. I chose to put in my schedule my prospecting work before the bell rings. Right. So that it's done regardless of what happens. Because you know what? 5:30 or 6 o'clock, there's nobody coming inbound. They're all still sleeping. I get it done. It's like the ocean. So, it's fascinating, the intricacies of being a great leader, because I was not a great leader. People ask me, they go, how'd you become such a great coach at this? I go, I sucked at being a leader. I expected people to do what I do. Period. It was like, do it my way or get the hell out of the way.
Don't we know? Great show. A couple shout outs. Excited to be with the Sistel group here this morning to talk about teamwork. Excited for the GOTB accountability call. If you are not a part of our GOTB community, I would ask you why. Why are you not striving for that extra 1%? Why are you not surrounding yourself with people and having an accountability call at the end of the month? So great stuff.
We are focused on those 7 principles. Thank you, Greg Goldstein. We'll be digging deep into that. But if you're on that call, bring your own goodies, man, because it is a coaching call, not a training call.
Well, I'm going to be challenging you as well. Let's go. Let's get down to business. We'll see you guys.
Please don't worry about me. I'm about to let my heart speak. Friends keep telling me to leave this. So let's get down to business. Let's get down